Imagine being told that giving just $333 or 1,033 lari could unlock a miracle in your life, and then discovering that the FBI is investigating the very same practice. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most controversial spiritual leaders, Juanita Bynum, is now at the center of a scandal that has believers shocked, skeptics intrigued, and authorities taking notice. In the next 20 minutes, we're diving deep into the shocking details behind Juanita Bynum's so-called miracle seed, uncovering what's really happening and why this has the FBI knocking on her door. You won't want to miss a single revelation. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're uncovering a story that has sent shockwaves through the faith community and made headlines for all the right and wrong reasons. Juanita Bynum, a well-known preacher and televangelist, has long been praised by her followers for her messages of hope, prosperity, and miracles. But recently, things have taken a controversial turn. It all started with her so-called miracle seed offerings, where believers were asked to give specific amounts, 333 or 1,033 in faith, that they would receive life-changing blessings in return. At first glance, it seemed like a standard faith-based giving practice, but soon questions arose. Where does this money really go? How are these promises fulfilled? And most shockingly, why is the FBI now reportedly investigating these transactions? In this video, we're going to break down the full story, from the origins of the miracle seed, the reactions from her followers, and the mounting scrutiny from authorities. By the end, you'll know the facts, the controversies, and the hidden details behind one of the most talked about scandals in modern faith circles. And trust me, some of the revelations will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Stay tuned, because in the next section, we'll uncover the origins of Juanita Bynum's miracle seed and why it became so controversial almost overnight. To understand the controversy surrounding Juanita Bynum today, we first need to go back to where it all began, the creation of what she calls the miracle seed. Juanita Bynum has been a prominent figure in the gospel world for decades. She's known for her fiery sermons, her bold messages about faith and prosperity, and her ability to connect with thousands of believers on a deeply personal level. Over the years, her ministry expanded into books, conferences, and television broadcasts, earning her millions in donations and cementing her reputation as a spiritual authority. But the miracle seed offering stands apart from her usual work. The concept is simple, yet provocative. Followers are asked to sow a seed of faith, specific amounts of money, usually $333 or 1,033, believing that God will multiply it back to them in abundance. According to Juanita, this practice is rooted in biblical teachings about sowing and reaping, where financial giving is linked directly to receiving divine blessings. Many of her devotees have shared testimonies claiming that giving these amounts brought them health, wealth, and even miraculous interventions in their lives. Yet here's where the tension begins. While thousands were inspired to give, murmurs of doubt began to surface. Some questioned why the numbers were so precise, and why such large sums were being requested during a time when many believers were already struggling financially. Critics argued that it felt less like faith and more like a transaction, where blessings came with a price tag. The miracle seed, intended to be a symbol of faith, was now being scrutinized under the lens of skepticism. And then came the turning point. The reports of financial irregularities and unanswered questions about the handling of these donations. People began asking, where exactly does this money go? Is it truly used to fund ministry work, or is it enriching a select few? As whispers grew louder, the story caught the attention of investigative authorities. It's rare for a spiritual practice to attract the attention of federal investigators, but in Juanita Bynum's case, that's exactly what happened. Stay tuned, because in the next section, we'll dive into the shocking details of the FBI's involvement, the investigation that has shaken followers, and why authorities felt compelled to step in. The story takes an even darker turn than anyone could have imagined. As the miracle seed controversy grew, it wasn't long before it attracted the attention of federal authorities. The FBI, a name usually associated with serious criminal investigations, was reportedly looking into Juanita Bynum's ministry finances. This revelation sent shockwaves through her follower base. For many, the FBI's involvement felt almost unthinkable. How could a spiritual leader preaching faith and miracles come under federal scrutiny? According to reports, the investigation centers on the collection and use of donations tied to the $333 and $1,033 miracle seeds, While millions of dollars reportedly flowed into her ministry, questions arose about how those funds were being handled. Were they used solely for ministry work, charitable causes, or were there discrepancies suggesting personal enrichment? The details are complex, but some insiders have hinted at unusual financial patterns, raising red flags for regulators. The timing of the investigation also added to the tension. It came during a period when the media was increasingly critical of high-profile faith leaders and televangelists, particularly those who tied financial contributions directly to promised miracles. Social media exploded with speculation, videos, and heated debates about whether Juanita Bynum's practice crossed the line from faith-based giving to potential financial misconduct. Hashtags questioning the legitimacy of the miracle seed began trending, sparking outrage among critics and defensive loyalty from her followers. But what makes this investigation even more dramatic is the reported level of secrecy surrounding it. Few details have been officially released, fueling rumors and conspiracy theories. Some claim that the FBI is examining not just the money, but whether there were false claims made to entice donations, something that, if proven, could carry serious legal consequences. Others speculate that the investigation could expand to include other high-profile ministers who use similar miracle seed models, potentially making this scandal far bigger than one church or one preacher. For followers of Juanita Bynum, the situation is emotionally charged. Many feel betrayed, struggling to reconcile their faith with the possibility that someone they trusted could be under investigation. Others maintain that the miracle seed is a legitimate spiritual practice, insisting that divine blessings cannot be measured in legal terms. The tension between belief and skepticism has created a media storm, with mainstream news outlets, YouTube channels, and social media personalities all weighing in. And here's the cliffhanger. Some insiders suggest that the investigation may reveal connections and practices that have never been publicly disclosed, practices that could completely change how the public views Juanita Bynum and her ministry. Could there be more to the story than just miracle seed donations? Are there hidden financial networks or questionable claims behind the scenes? The answers remain uncertain, but the suspense is undeniable. As the FBI investigation into Juanita Bynum's miracle seed scandal began to surface, reactions from her followers were immediate, passionate, and often deeply divided. On one hand, there are those who continue to defend her fervently, claiming that faith cannot be measured by financial scrutiny. On the other, skeptics and critics see this as confirmation of their long-held doubts about the promises tied to her miracle seed offerings. For devoted followers, the miracle seed has long been more than just a financial transaction. It's a spiritual ritual. Many have shared testimonies of life-changing experiences, from unexpected job promotions and financial breakthroughs to restored health and family miracles. Social media is flooded with stories of believers who swear that giving $333 or $1,033 directly led to blessings they could never have imagined. Some even describe the practice as a divine lottery, where faith and obedience align to unlock blessings. But the controversy has created deep emotional turmoil for others. A growing number of former followers have come forward to claim that they were misled or even financially exploited. Some say that after sowing the seeds of faith, their prayers went unanswered, leaving them not only disappointed, but questioning their spiritual beliefs. Others allege that the ministry encouraged repeated donations, creating financial strain for people already struggling. These conflicting testimonies paint a complicated picture, one where faith, hope, and skepticism collide. Critics outside the ministry are equally vocal. Religious watchdog groups, investigative journalists, and even some former insiders argue that the miracle seed model can be exploitative. They question the ethics of promising divine rewards tied to monetary contributions, noting that such practices blur the line between genuine faith-based giving and transactional commerce. Skeptics point to the precise amounts requested, $333 and $1,033, as evidence that the system is designed more for financial gain than spiritual growth. The media coverage has only intensified the debate. YouTube channels, blogs, and mainstream news outlets have all covered the story, often highlighting dramatic testimonies or leaked information about the FBI's interest. Some headlines suggest fraud or financial misconduct, while others focus on the religious and emotional dimensions, asking whether believers are being unfairly judged for their faith practices. The viral nature of these stories has fueled endless speculation, with hashtags and trending topics drawing attention from people both inside and outside the gospel community. And yet, amid all the controversy, Juanita Bynum herself has remained largely silent on the specifics of the investigation. Her statements have been carefully worded, emphasizing faith, divine timing, and spiritual lessons rather than addressing the allegations directly. This silence has fueled further speculation. Is she protecting herself legally, managing public perception, or simply waiting for the storm to pass? Whatever the reason, it has kept both her supporters and her critics on edge. Here's the suspenseful twist. Some insiders suggest that the fallout from this scandal could reach beyond Juanita Bynum herself. There are whispers that other ministries using similar miracle seed practices may come under scrutiny, potentially exposing patterns of financial misconduct in other high-profile faith communities. Could this be the beginning of a much larger investigation that changes how televangelism operates? Only time will tell. To truly understand the controversy surrounding Juanita Bynum's miracle seed, it's crucial to examine the financial mechanics behind it. On the surface, it appears to be a simple act of faith. Believers are encouraged to give either $330 or $133 as a symbolic seed that will grow into divine blessings. But when you look closer, the system reveals layers that have prompted serious scrutiny from both former insiders and financial experts. According to reports from sources familiar with the ministry, the donations are processed in a highly organized, almost corporate-like system. Each contribution is tracked meticulously, often accompanied by a personal prayer card or instruction sheet claiming that God will multiply the seed. Supporters are encouraged to sow faithfully and sometimes even to return multiple seeds in succession, amplifying the total amount given over time. From a legal perspective, the question arises, are these donations purely voluntary acts of faith, or do they constitute a structured financial scheme that could be considered misleading? Financial analysts have noted that the precision of the amounts, $333 and $1,033, is unusual. These numbers are consistent across thousands of donors, which suggests deliberate planning rather than random giving. Critics argue that tying blessings to exact sums could pressure followers into giving more than they can afford, which raises ethical questions about exploitation. Supporters, of course, see this as part of the spiritual principle, giving in faith, with the expectation of divine multiplication. The tension between faith and financial accountability is at the heart of the controversy. Insiders have also revealed that the ministry's accounting practices are opaque. While the organization claims that funds are used for ministry activities, outreach, and charitable causes, details about actual expenditures are scarce. Questions about salaries, overhead costs, and the personal enrichment of leadership have been raised, fueling suspicions. Some former staffers suggest that large amounts of donations may have been directed toward personal investments or lavish lifestyle expenses, claims that, if verified, could have serious legal implications. The controversy is further amplified by the psychological and emotional dynamics at play. Many followers report feeling a spiritual obligation to give, reinforced by testimonies and social pressure from the community. The miracle seed becomes more than a financial act. It's an emotional and spiritual commitment, making it difficult for believers to step back even if doubts arise. This combination of financial opacity, spiritual pressure, and precise numerical demands creates a perfect storm for controversy.